Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Turf Moorhouse TV. You beautiful, sexy people come back and watch every week, and whenever we do get our podcast out, you're there and you're very supportive. So thank you very much to every single one of you. Please just thank you. Thank you for turning up. Really does mean a lot. If you are new around here, Jesus, you can tell I've just had my tea. If you are new around here, please do subscribe to the channel. As you can see, just up there, if I edit properly, if I get a good bend me header on it, you can catch us at Turf Moorhouse on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And yeah, just give us a subscribe. Just subscribe, as it says down there at the bottom. Subscribe to the channel. This is the match preview for the Brighton away game. And as you can, we are on podcast platforms. This will be going out on podcast platforms, and we do have a guest coming in as well. At the moment, they're currently tied up because they've got, they've got a newborn, and obviously, family comes first. But they will be coming in, so sit tight. As I say, you can catch us on major platforms in terms of podcasting. You can catch us by just searching Turf Moorhouse, and you will find us on all major podcast platforms, as I say, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. We are also supporting the Casual Minds Matter, which is a local charity around Burnley that's checking in on male mental health. I say that it's checking in on male mental health, but on the Facebook group, there is also women on there. So if there is any women in the chat or watching today as well, also get yourselves involved over there. You're not alone. We'll fight everything together. So don't worry about that. Some news came out of Turf Moor today. Young youth player Lewis Richardson has signed a new 3-year contract at the club, which is great news. Was told about him a good couple of years ago, actually. Watch out for a boy called Lewis Richardson in the future. However, we are yet to see him play in the Premier League, so we'll see how that goes. However, we have got an absolute cracking guest about to come on. And if you remember rightly, we did a preview before for the Brighton game, and we had Josh from Together BHA. Well, this time, I think we've got the better one. We've got Adam. And how are you, mate? You all right?
I'm doing well, mate. Thanks for giving me a few minutes here. I appreciate it. And yeah, look, if you think I'm the better version of Josh, I'm sorry to tell you, that's you couldn't be more disappointed. But let's see how we go.
Happy days. No, first and foremost, thank you for coming on. Really does mean a lot. First and foremost, again, tell us where everyone can find your stuff and the stuff that you've got coming up as well that you're doing on Together BHA.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, so we're on Together BHA. So as it sounds, Together BHA on Twitter. We stream each week or after each game for the most part on Twitch, YouTube. We post it all on the social channels. So if you're interested in hearing more about Brighton, I'm sure as Burnley fans, you probably aren't. But if you want to find out a little bit about next time, maybe the game before we face you, for example, maybe what we talked about in the Man U game earlier this week, rather, come and join us. It'd be good to have you.
No, definitely. So guys, do go check out Adam's Twitter link is in the description below, as well as the Together BHA group on Twitter and also the YouTube channel as well. A couple of comments. The missus is in as always, my biggest fan. I can't complain at that. Remember to smash the likes, get subbing and comment away. She's got a point. Yes, there is potential chance for a challenge at 500 and a potential giveaway. I've been thinking about this as well. So, honestly, if she thinks I deserve more, she goes mad at me with the amount of effort. Come on, we've got to go out. You can't. Can you just do editing another time, Daniel? Let's not do this. I think it's just part and parcel of this YouTube craze that once you're hooked, that's it, you're in. And there you have it. There you have it.
There we go. That sounds about right. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Disagree. So, Brighton this season, they've basically surprised a lot of people, haven't they? A lot of people
included.
That's the thing. A lot of people in streams, prior to the season kicking off, they were already picking their title winners, the 3 to go down, etc. like that. Brighton was in there amongst that bottom 3 for people thinking that this is the season that the bubble bursts for Graham Potter and it sort of all goes pear-shaped. But I mean, what a way to silence the doubters. How do you see the season going in your perspective? How do you think it's gone so far?
Well, it's gone incredible. I mean, we're sat in the top half of the table, and we're in February. We're in very uncharted territory right now. I know you guys have had a couple of seasons like that where you
Yeah,
finished up in those kind of positions. It's a weird feeling, isn't it? Especially when you have
yeah,
no
massively.
expectations. I think last year was a bizarre one, right? Because we were playing attractive football. We put in good performances, and we were just cursed in front of goal. You remember we had the XG, the expected goals kind of stuff were coming out, and we
Yeah.
were like the joke of that, and that we would have these crazy XG stats and we'd lose games. And the difference this year is that that's tapered down a little bit, and instead we've actually got results, and we've been grinding out results. You can see that we've got a ridiculous amount of draws this year already. We're at 12 draws on a season, one ahead of you. I can't remember what the record is, but I think we're about 4 or 5 draws off. So we're gunning
Wow.
for that.
Wow.
So that's the difference, right? We've been getting points this year, whereas last year we just had tons of attempts on target and didn't get anywhere. The football really hasn't changed an awful lot.
No, I mean, I look at Brighton's philosophy, and I just think, looking from the outside, a lot of people think Brighton are always missing a goal scorer. I mean, do you, as actual Brighton fans, feel you're missing that?
Well, it depends who you ask. You've got a whole chunk of our fan base that is desperate for saying, "Oh, we've got to sign a striker. We have to sign a striker. Neil Maupay's not good enough." That's all we've heard for 2 years at this point. We've gone out and made a signing in January of Dennis Undav, a guy that plays for Tony Bloom's other club in Belgium, USG. He's coming over on the cheap in the summer. He looks like a really good prospect. His goal scoring rating and ratio in the Jupiler League in Belgium has been insane this year. If you can do half as well as that in the Premier League, we've got a nice supplement to Maupay. On the pod on Together BHA, we always talk about the fact that it's not about needing a goal scorer necessarily. Maupay can do it. It's about having other pieces around him. Where we struggle is we don't have enough goals coming in from elsewhere. So if Maupay doesn't score, we don't have a ton of like goal scoring midfielders. We've got, players like Adam Lallana and Yves Bissouma. They're very good in their own right. They're not scoring 10 goals a season. They're not getting 5 goals a season. So that's been our main problem.
No, I mean, would you put Pascal Gross in one, whatever, however what people want to pronounce
you got it
it?
right, yeah.
How do you think? Because there's a lot of people say he's sort of a driving force in that midfield, but then there's also people that said no, he was a one-season wonder where he's not replicated that same form he had last season. Or do you think it's just that this season it's more of a team collective that's got you to where you have, and it's not just relying on that one man to change your fortunes?
Yeah, Pascal Gross was one of our better players for a good chunk of time. Like, he's been here a few seasons at this point, and I think we started to see this year a bit of the change in the guard. Like, Pascal Gross hasn't been in every starting lineup, rightfully so. He's been not as impressive by any means this year, that's for sure. So he's not in the best 11 for Brighton. He hasn't been starting. But you're right. Yeah, he's known to be able to find the back of the net, or at least put a good ball in from a set piece to make a difference. The change that's happened for most of this year is we've had other players come through that have finally started to prove their worth. And I'm speaking Alexis McAllister is kind of the big one who's taken over a lot of Pascal Gross's role, especially from set pieces. Jakub Moder, the Poland international, is another guy that's come through. And you probably remember him quite well from the first week. I think he came on and scored. And he's been really, really good as well. So it's been a bit of a changing of the guard in central midfield at Brighton this year.
No, that's not a bad account, really. I mean, I look at Brighton, and you've got some really young, exciting players. I mean, Tariq Lamptey, you brought him in for next to nothing from Chelsea, and what a player he's turning out to be.
Yeah, he is. When you dream of signings that happen in the transfer window, and you see these like, oh, we bought a youngster, maybe he'll be all right. And we always hope to ourselves, and 9.9 times out of 10, right? They never become anything. He's the difference maker. I think the other one you've got to keep in mind too is, I'd say it's easy to say. Outside of the top six, let's say, I really do think we've probably got the best right back, left back pairing in the league between Tarek Lamptey and Mark Cucurella, the chap that we brought over from Getafe, former Barcelona
I was
player.
gutted. I was gutted that because it was us and you battling it out for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather be by the sea, to be honest with you, but you know.
I was going to say, yeah, then there's quite a big Spanish contingent, not even just football, but in Brighton, quite a big Spanish contingent.
Yeah.
That probably played a part in it. We've also got like Bruno coaching and ex-Spaniards, a big part of the community there. But I mean, you haven't done too bad with Cornet in the team. I mean, I think there's a lot of teams looking on with envious eyes at him. So
yeah, it was a strange one with Cornet because we were a bit like, why has this guy dropped playing Champions League football to basically play Kirby with a local lad on a cul-de-sac? It's sort of just strange when you've gone from watching, as I've said numerous times, and I'm sure the people watching will remember, you're watching 11 stiff idiots ping a ball up top, and all of a sudden you get this bit of flair coming, and you're just like, whoa, like, Christ, we can always see the pocket of space that nobody bothers to run into. This guy's sort of running into that pocket of space. He's getting into the channels, and we're like, "Whoa, this guy's different gravy! Like, what's going on here?" So to get him, I mean, it was a real coup. But obviously, our league position will be our downfall if we are to lose him. However, speaking of players that have sort of moved on, how much of a loss has it been losing a player like Dan Burn?
Yeah, Dan Burn's kind of weird because if you ask the fan base a few months ago, we went through a bit of a patch of games where we didn't win for a long time. We went, God, I'm trying to think at the time. I need to look up the games that we played, but we didn't win a game for what felt like about 2 months. Dan Burn was starting, and he wasn't in that really good patch of form that he found before the Newcastle move. And he almost put himself in the shop window. And don't get me wrong, he played fantastic, completely out of his skin. And Lewis Dunk was out of the team at that point, out injured. So we were really worried what the outcome of that would be. Oh God, Dan Burn's going to come in, and we've seen him play at left back for us, rampaging up and down the pitch. But he's always looked a little bit uncomfortable at central defence. But he really played very, very, very well. If you'd have asked me a few months ago, I would have said, I don't care if Dan Burn leaves. He's not a good enough player for this club. And he really proved me and other doubters wrong. Having said that, this was a deal that I think everyone won. Newcastle have got horrendously deep pockets at the moment. Dan Burn's not getting any younger. He wasn't in a fully strength side as starting centre-back in this team. You take the money. The problem is what we're seeing right now coming into this game this weekend. Lewis Dunk just got himself sent off like an idiot.
Yeah.
Who do we play? And there's already talks about Potter, depending on his mood, plays either the sort of a 3/5 at the back or a 4 at the back. And we play different formations in that regard. And that then depends on how many centre-backs we're playing. Given the injury, I would anticipate we play 4 at the back this week, which means we'll have 2 centre-backs in, one of which is Adam Webster, who's been really dodgy in the last couple of games. And the other is rumoured, the beat writers are saying that it might be Joel Veltman, the signing that we made from the Netherlands a couple of years back, who's been impressive, but predominantly plays in the right back. Duffy is not in favour at the moment. He's never really properly come back into the team after being out with an injury a few weeks back. So not sure how that's going to go.
No, that's interesting. I mean, obviously we had Shane Duffy on loan at one point.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't too bad. I think he was still classed as an Everton youth at that point. But yeah, I thought his time at Brighton were numbered. You know, especially when the loan move to Celtic came about, I thought that was it. Once you start basically getting told you're going to have to look for football elsewhere, and a player at his age, you thought, oh, he's another one that's next on the list to sort of get the chop from Brighton. But he sort of came back with a bit of a spring in his step, and it started, from what I saw, it started well for him. I mean,
yeah,
we both obviously lost a player in the January window to Newcastle.
Yeah,
us through no fault of our own. I mean, what sort of chairman goes and sticks some stupid release clause in? You barely even see it in the Premier League these days, and Just absolute madness.
Yeah,
Absolute
I didn't
madness.
even think we had him in the Premier League. I know, I thought it was a Spanish thing. It's like the
Yeah.
odd players. It goes back to the days when, was it Arsenal made that stupid bid for Luis Suarez with what, £1 over is what they thought the release clause was. I didn't think there was anyone that had him anymore.
No, it's madness what can happen in football. I mean, we'll speak about the first game. Obviously, we played you guys at the Turf on the opening day of the season, and I must say we continued our form from the season prior. You know, we went 1-0 up in the game and then lost it. We did it away at Newcastle the season before. We did it away at Southampton, went 1-0 up as well. And then you guys basically carried it on. The thing that aggravated me the most about that game was how much your goals were so similar. They were both down that same side and everything else. It was just simple tap-ins when the ball came across. It was like you were watching Match of Day. You've paused it, you've nipped for a pee. Someone's accidentally pressed it. You've rewound it and pressed play again. It was literally like that.
Yeah.
You couldn't
It was like
rack
5 minutes between them, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was absolute madness. I just remember standing in, because I was in the same stand as the away fans, where they've got some of the home section in, and I was just stood there like gobsmacked. Like, how can you sort of concede a very similar goal to the first one? You should have learned from your first mistake. However, we clearly didn't, and it punished us. I just how do you think that was the catalyst, getting that first game underway? Because teams like yourself and us, I mean, I suppose in a way, Burnley are notorious for literally starting absolutely shocking. And it comes to this part of the season where they put like a flat 3 or 4 game run together, and it basically relegation zone shaves their arse just by a little bit.
Yeah.
And they just managed to escape it. However, this season, I don't think so. I think we're for the drop. But do you think, from your perspective, that was the beginning of, Potter's revolution this season?
Well, it certainly helped. Like, of course, you want to go out and you want to win on the opening day, don't you? And I think
Yeah, of course.
we went and beat Watford really soundly the game after that. And then I think there was a cup game, wasn't there? And then we got battered by Everton. So, which is at this point now, when you say that now, it's kind of embarrassing. But they completely outplayed us. So I just think it was one of those ones where it was more about the circumstances around the win. It was coming from a goal down. Like, we didn't do a lot of that last season. If we conceded first, there was inevitability about it. It was just, all right, we're not going to be able to score. That's it. Because we don't score 2 goals. Like, we don't score 2 goals in a game. We win games 1-0. So that I think that certainly helps. But I also, looking back on the game earlier this season, the game that we're going to play this weekend almost feels really different. I was looking up the team that we started against you guys, and it's not going to look like this. There was no Lamptey playing, obviously no Kukureya playing. I don't think he was signed at that point. We started Mwepu, our summer signing.
Yeah.
He's sort of out injured. He might make the bench this weekend. There was no McAllister, came on as a sub. So that basically the team is probably going to look a lot different. And of course, you're starting a new centre forward. I don't think you had Cornet at that point.
No, I didn't know.
It's a different looking game, this one.
Yeah, massively. I mean, you must get fed up as a Brighton fan hearing season in, season out, Potter's off to another club.
Yeah.
He's linked. He's probably linked to more clubs as a manager than half of the squad's linked to moves away. I mean, it's madness. I mean, he has done phenomenal. He's done a phenomenal job. I mean, it's part and parcel of football. Managers come and go, players come and go. If you was sort of in Graham Potter's shoes right now, do you sort of stick with the process that you've got? Or if a big club like a top 6, a Spurs potentially, although we all know that the Spurs job's a poison chalice anyway.
God, no, I'm not taking that. Yeah.
What would you do if you were in Potter's shoes?
The thing that Potter had, and yeah, he's done a great job. Like, don't get me wrong, but he's still very early in his career. Like, his managerial, I guess, CV prior to this point, it wasn't exactly massively credentialed, right? So the Brighton job in general, a job in the Premier League for him was a pretty good win. He is in a setup that makes a lot of sense right now. Tony Bloom is a fantastic owner. And I mentioned USG, the Belgian club that he owns as well. They got promoted last year. So they were in the second tier of Belgian football. They are currently in first place of the top division. They came up and they've gone into first. And it's looking like they're potentially going to go all the way to win it. Tony Bloom, I don't know how he does it, what special secret sauce that he has to figure this out, but he knows how to own and run football clubs. That's a good place to be as a manager, because we've seen what bad owners do to managerial experiences. You mentioned Spurs. That's the one that highlights, just stands out to me. Look at Man United. Look at so many other badly run clubs. So he'd have to think about that when he thinks about his next move. I guess the closest example I could probably give you is we just lost Dan Ashworth, the guy that sort of run all of our sort of technical transfer side of things to Newcastle. A lot of the fan base are freaking out about that. And maybe it's a really bad thing, right? Because he's done a really good job at the club. But that is a different level of opportunity, right? We talked about this on Together BHA podcast. He probably quadrupled his salary. He has been given a golden ticket. It's like, we've got the most money in football in the world now. You get to make the choices on what Harlem Globetrotter dream team you build. I don't know if Potter would leave to go and take the Spurs job necessarily. Could go and work for Levy? Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's more money, but is that what he doesn't strike me as the money hungry guy. I think he wants to create a heritage. And what I'd love to see is maybe at some point in the future, he takes the job like the Man United job in a couple of years. And I'd love to see him as England manager in 7, 8, 9 years.
No, cracking shout. I'll tell you one person who will be happy to hear that you touted him for the United job. Rich Sports United fan. Hi to yourself. Hope you're well. Me and Kate are all good. I'm sure she's watching. She usually comments. It's either that or she's dealing with the kids because they've been a nightmare upstairs. But someone's got to do it while I'm doing this, and it can't be me.
Hey, guess why I was late? I had a baby over, so you know.
Exactly. We do our bit. So in terms of, as you say, Graham Potter will eventually go to someone like, Man United, as you said. However, you mentioned as well about having a good owner. Now, I look at a team sort of similar, sort of probably a level par with Brighton in the way of this season anyway, like Leicester. At the moment, there's a lot of Leicester fans getting on, Brendan Rodgers back a little bit because results haven't been, going the right way for them. However, I've said to many a Leicester fan, and Chris from Leicester Till I Die TV, I've said, maybe for Leicester, this is the season where sort of you've had your highs, and now you've got to that point where your fans are expecting that high season in, season out.
Yeah.
But this is the season where it's almost like, normality's resumed, back to normal, things have kicked off. I mean, do you fear that? I mean, do you fear that eventually the bubble might burst, or are you just riding that wave at the moment?
Of course, I think you're absolutely right. Every club goes in ebbs and flows, and unless you're just being completely ploughed with money, speaking of Chelsea fans, where there's not too many ebbs and flows because it just works out great because you just pour hundreds of millions of dollars pounds in each year. Maybe talking about Tony Bloom, talking about the work Dan Ashworth has done. All we've done in the last couple of transfer windows, we've signed a couple of first team players, but we buy young players. And a lot of our team is very young, early 20s. Think about Tarek Lamptey, we talked about, Mark Cucurella, who played for Spain in the Olympics, right? He's an under 23. We've got a host of very young, talented players that can keep reshaping what this club looks like. It's inevitable that we're going to lose our best player this summer, Yves Bissouma. And he is a 1 in 100 signing for this club. Like, he is very, very, very good. If he doesn't go to a top 6 club and he does go to Aston Villa, like the rumors, he's done himself a disservice because he's better than Villa. With all due respect,
would that not? So, apologies for cutting you off and stuff. Would that be sort of like leave a sour taste for the fan base? that in a way, a bit like when Owen Coyle left us to jump ship to Bolton, it's almost like a sideways move. You've not done anything to better yourself. You've sort of just jumped at a chance because, as you said with Dan Burn, as you said with Dan Ashworth, money talks.
It's going to be that, and we gave Dan Burn a bit of credit, right? Because he was a Newcastle supporter. He's a season ticket holder when he was a young kid, and that was going back to his boyhood club. Yves Bissouma, as far as I know, I don't think Villa have a particularly big fan base in Mali. So there's not much excuse for him if he went there. That's purely a money play, right? And maybe Steven Gerrard was his favorite player when he was growing up. Who knows? But no, he's winding down his contract, and he's being smart about it, right? He knows he wants to see what options are out there. You've also got to understand that he's been embroiled, allegedly, in some off the pitch activities too. So there's some question marks around his character. He's marched off down the tunnel the last 2 games without applauding the fans. There's clearly something going on there. So I don't know how. I think we'll be sad from a footballing perspective when he goes. If he does end up at Villa, yes, it's annoying that it will be a sideways move, but it's not like he's a fan favorite, played at the club for 6 years, and he's going on to play at a massive club, and we wave goodbye and say our respects to him. I think it's more just this is a business transaction. That's what it will feel like. Yeah,
definitely. Rich says, are you, Adam, concerned / annoyed by Newcastle trying to pinch a lot of your people from behind the scenes?
I think you could ask every club that, because I know it feels like Brighton are we're targeted at the moment. They're stealing all our Dans, our Dan Burn, Dan Ashworth. Look, if they want to pay premium dollar, I think there's compensation for Ashworth. They pay good money for Dan Burn. If they want to come and give us a ton of money, by all means, sure. Right now, we're not competing necessarily with them. And this feels weird to say.
For the summer then. 50 million transfer fee for Danny Welbeck when another Danny goes.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think, let's offload all the Dans. A great point. Yeah. Let's see who else. I love Welbeck, by the way. But yeah, if someone offered me more than a fiver, I'd say, yeah, go for it. Look, Nick, I think we all have to remove the illusion from our minds now that Newcastle are a bottom 5 club, which they basically have been for the past few years. They're going to be compete. You want to be. I feel like questions almost like you want to ask the Arsenal fans, the Spurs fans, the Leicester fans. That's who I'm worried if I'm them in about 2-3 years, because they're going through that same transition that Man City went through, and that's where you're going to be worried. If they give us a bit of money in the meantime, that's okay.
No, fair shout. The thing that gets me is I look at Brighton, and you've sort of adapted slowly, as you've said. Similar with Leicester and stuff. You've not just compared to Newcastle, who are basically they're chucking money at it, aren't they? They're buying their way out of relegation.
Yep.
I look at those dirty 6-fingered inbreds down the M65. that bought the Premier League in '95. It hurt me saying that. However, Fat Jack's money got them a Premier League title, so
it works.
It does. Do you think Brighton will eventually have a war chest to play with, or do you think it's just a case of at the moment you're still having to sort of stick with the built not bought model?
That's a really good question. I think one of the differences that we have as a club is, and we talked about this a few weeks ago on the pod actually, is we're not like a Southampton, for example, where there's an expectation that your youth system produces talent on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah.
We do what you're seeing now. We go out to lesser, I guess, respected leagues out there, and we purchase players that we think can do a job. Jakub Moder's a good example of that, right? Go and grab him from the Polish league. We'll go Alexis McAllister. We brought over from the Argentine. I know the Argentinian league's got a little bit more premise to it, but we'll bring in players from other leagues. It's less about producing incredible youth, but we buy low and then mature them and then sell them on. So that's the model. I think that continue. I think that's what Tony Bloom is. He's a gambler and a businessman. Like, his business is betting. He's a poker player. Like, this is what he does. And I think that's kind of what keeps him going. Like, I don't think that goes away anytime soon. I don't think he's ever going to shy away from a good deal and a bargain and negotiating. That's just what he is. If he wants to throw more money in, great. But it's not like he's been shying away. If you look at all some of those tables, charts, and those things that have come out over the past few years, Brighton we've been spending money. He's got to get some of it back, and you've seen that with players like Ben White. Is a good example of selling on. We'll take 50 million every day.
Massively, yeah. I mean, Ben White for me, look again, looking from outside, he had one good season, and it was case again, players like Ben White are sort of price tags built on hype, and the fact that the media were sniffing around that one good season. We saw it with Hudson-Odoi at Chelsea.
Yep.
And he's gone to Arsenal, and like you barely hear about him now. It's all a case of Ramsdale's pulled out this fan save or whatever, and that's it. I mean, if Ben White were doing his job, Ramsdale wouldn't be having to pull out those fan saves, would he? So it's sort of swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, it's a funny one because I like that you mentioned Hudson-Odoi, by the way, because there's a weird sort of situation that's now occurred via Brighton a little bit. Is Chris Hughton have you seen Chris Hughton's now taken the Ghana national team job, and he's trying to get Callum Hudson-Odoi to sort of renounce his English citizenship, go and play for Ghana. And he's like, you'll be my star player, because he's only played 3 games from England, and there's something with African nations where that's okay, they can bring him over. So yeah, Chris Hughton might be managing Callum Hudson-Odoi in the near future. Weird fact for you.
Wow.
I forgot what the question, because I was talking about Callum Hudson-Odoi playing for Ghana.
You know what? I've thrown myself off as well.
We're both as bad as each other.
Exactly. There's not wrong with a bit of madness. It's a dad thing. It's a baby brain, isn't it? That's what it is.
It really is. Yeah. We'll remember in about 10 minutes and we'll bring it back up. That'll be it. Yeah. Oh, we're talking about Ben White at Arsenal. Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one.
Ben
See,
White
that's how much of an influential one season wonder it was that we sort of just went
completely
straight over the head.
So he came in. So he was a youth prospect, but he obviously went out to Leeds, and his season under Bielsa when Leeds got promoted was the big one that caught all the attention. He really wanted to move to Leeds and play under Bielsa. And the fact that we even got him back for that season, they were bidding for him like crazy, was almost impressive. The club wanted to keep hold of him, and that was a wise move, right? Because they sold him for over double what they would have been able to sell him to Leeds for at that point.
Massively, yeah.
He's you know how it works, as you mentioned, he's an English young player. So you immediately double his price tag compared to another player out there. He serves a purpose from that perspective. He's a good player. He's got a good pass on him. He's young. He's going to be good. But we are not a club that can turn down 50 million for what I would call a sort of a project. We'll take that 50 million and we're going to go and buy 3 players from the Polish, Austrian, Swiss leagues and hope that one of them becomes another 50 million pound player.
No, why not? Why not? You hit the nail on the head when you said that, a project, because he wasn't the finished article, was he? It was sort of depending on your attitude. He was at that right age of you don't know what sort of, is his attitude going to alter now because he's sort of getting game time at Brighton? Is he going to think, oh, I'm Billy Big Bollocks all of a sudden? And it sort of just, so it was technically the right move. So you did well there. I mean, moving on to this game on Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff at the Amex. I mean, we'll get straight into it. We'll get talking about our predictions.
Hold up! I didn't know you had graphics. Is Josh watching this? Because we don't have these graphics. This is unbelievable.
Honestly, I do all this on my phone. This is all being filmed on my phone. I do not have a laptop. So
look at this. I suddenly feel like we're absolute D-grade podcast over at Together BHA. We need some of those. Unbelievable. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good guys. Honestly, you got cracking, set up and everything else, and doing really well with it. So you guys need to keep up doing what you're doing. And it'll only get more positive as well, won't it, with the way Brighton are going at the moment? So
there you go. We're going to need to crack out those graphics if we want to become a top 10 team. You know, we can't get away with not having those in.
That's the only problem, though. Premier League graphics and a Championship bloody team. That's the only difference.
Well, just you're delaying it for the next when you guys get promoted again. It's nice. You have the best
Yeah,
graphics in the
yeah.
Championship. You know,
I'll hold the apple cart. I'll keep the Premier League. I'll keep sort of Burnley's Premier League thing going forward. There you go. I look forward to you taking the reins at an ungrateful kid.
There we go. I was expecting that.
It will now. That's it. There'll be like constant bombardment of messages. The game on Saturday, it's an interesting one. Do you fear that, obviously, talking about Burnley as aside, do you feel that when Burnley come to town sort of thing, it's a case of, with the form that they're on at the moment, it's a case they are going to get a result at some point. Let me hope that it's not us.
There's an aspect to that, right? Because I felt like that going into the Man U game, and look what happened. I know I don't want to talk about that game because it was annoying, but oh yeah, Ronaldo's not scored in 6. There he goes. Yeah, there's a little bit of that for sure, because also I think you're in a situation where you have to figure it out. Like, unless you want the rest of the season to be a write-off, you got to get some points somewhere. And if I'm you guys, I'll probably look at Brighton and I go, we can maybe do something here, right? Like we can, maybe we'll catch them on a bit of an off day. So yes. And the other thing is that we're going to come out, especially if we play 4 at the back. When we play 4 at the back, we tend to play more aggressive, direct football, less of the sort of build up on the wings and work the ball into the box. What that does do, though, and the age-old way of beating us, is you just let us make a mistake and then you counter on us. That is our Achilles heel for the whole of this year. So you're going to be at the Amex. I'd imagine we're going to have about 65% possession. I fear Cornet sprinting up the end, or you getting a set piece or a corner and your new sort of brick shit house, Weghorst, getting his head on it. It looks like he's going to play, right? I know he was injured last game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that for sure. I
mean, when we looked at our front 3 after getting Weghorst in, it was almost like, right, McNeil, Cornet, Weghorst, if this works well, you've sort of got the baking of a team that should be sat comfortably in, like, mid-table of in terms of a front forward 3. But I just think that we've been so lackluster. I mean, the thing is, I look at Weghorst and he sort of reminds me of Harry Kane. He drops deep.
Yep.
He sort of shows the midfield what they need to do, shape up or shit out sort of thing, because we've looked too open in the middle of the park. We've started playing some expansive football as well, which is very strange to see. Like, literally, I did not think that, to be honest with you, I didn't think I'd see Burnley playing ticky-tacky football against Man United, looking like the top 4 team. And as much as we only got a point in that game, it was just, blew my mind. I was like, whoa, after seeing hoofball and volleyball and basketball and dodgeball for the last God knows how long, seeing that was just like, wow. So that also is what we as fans don't anticipate. Going into games now, we're like, are we going to get a spirited performance? Are we going to get where the team are playing with passion? Are they actually going to, perform? Because the first half of the season, it looked like we were already down and relegated before we kicked the ball. Now we started showing a little bit of fight, myself included, are starting to get that little ounce of optimism that we may just scrape staying up. However, deep down, we're all sort of like, nah, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. But I mean, how do you see it? Because you're probably expecting Burnley to come, and as Burnley are, it's always a tough game, whether you're at the Turf or at the Amex. But how do you see Burnley setting up in this game? And how do you think Brighton's best opportunity to go, against it to sort of take the points?
I caught a little bit of your game against Liverpool, and I think if we use that as a bit of a gauge for this game, again, Liverpool had like 65+% possession, but you both had chances, and we don't have the players that Liverpool have to finish off some of the chances. So I could certainly see a similar type game playing out from a possession standpoint, but the difference being is that, you know, we're trying to have Jakob Moder bend one into the corner or Neil Maupay smack one in, as opposed to it being Salah, Jota, you know, Firmino, and so on and so forth. It definitely feels like you guys have come out with a little bit more, and you have to, right? I can't imagine guys just going to take this line down and just go, yeah, we're probably down. No, you're going to come out fighting. You also don't. I know you had to sign a player. You didn't have to sign a player of the, I guess, Weghorst reputation, which I think there was rumors of him going to, and I don't want to sound disrespectful, a bigger side, right? And I would say the same if he signed for us. So I think you have to expect that there's going to be something here. In terms of how this game's going to play out, I think the biggest, we've talked about our left back, right back, wing backs, whatever you want to call them, depending on how we play this game. They're going to be the thing that you need to watch out for, because I don't necessarily like the chances of us like cruising down the middle of the pitch and having Maupay turn and shoot against like Tarkowski and me or whatever it is. But I do fancy Tariq Lamptey sprinting up the side, Mark Cucurella sprinting up the side and getting a cross in. That's going to be where the difference is. And I think a lot of the game is going to depend on how the first 15, 20 minutes play out. Because if one of us gets a goal early on, that's going to completely change the outlook. Because if you have to push up against us at any point, that then allows those fullbacks to just bomb on and hit you guys on the counter. And that's what will make our game. The same's going to work the other way, because Lamptey and Cucurella push so far up, and you're going to get opportunities. You will get chances. And I think the other bit to watch out for is what we talked about before. I don't really fancy our centre-back pairing, whatever it's going to be this week, because it's either going to be Webster and Duffy or Webster and Veltman. And you will have chances against that. You really will.
I'll take that. I'll take that on board. Fingers crossed Sean Darcy's watching and we'll take all that information in. This worries me because I don't know how to word it. It's sort of, as you said, if we get on the front foot, that's the scary thought for me. You know, as you said, the wingers getting in behind. I've started to look at Cornet a little bit, and as much as he gets forward and we love it, he almost screams Patrice Evra, you know, like literally bombs forward and takes the rest of like 90 minutes to get back.
Yep.
So it's sort of like, that's so annoying sometimes. You hit the nail on the head. I think for us, the scary thought is your wingers, your wing backs. That's where it's going to be the threat. Is there anybody in the Burnley lineup apart from Cornet that sort of scares you in terms of it? I mean, as you said, Ronaldo hasn't bagged in 6, goes and gets one. Weghorst is yet to get his account underway, maybe. Is there any Burnley player in particular that is a threat in this game to you?
Well, it depends if you bring him on. But I always like to crack this out. But because I was back in the UK and a season ticket holder during Ashley Barnes' pomp at Brighton. And I always used to say to anyone that would listen that he's probably the most unnatural forward and least quality football player I've ever had the privilege of watching. And then he goes to you guys, and it's actually like for the money and for everything, he's been pretty good. I don't know what you guys actually feel about him. I'm sure he'll cut. You probably bring on Dale Stephens and Ashley Barnes, and something will happen. Just because this is Dale how these Stephens, things work out.
No, nobody in Claret and Blue actually rates Dale Stephens. They think he's absolutely dross.
Well, he's got a good pass on him, but you ask him to do anything else, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the game against Liverpool, not the game against Liverpool, the game against United, they were pretty solid. To be fair, that's why everyone were a bit like, oh, so we can play football.
This doesn't happen all the time.
I mean, Dale Stephens were a funny one, wasn't it? Because we wanted him from you guys 4 years prior, to him actually joining us when you were still a Championship side. He then handed in a transfer request, said, I want out, and then comes out at the end of the season going, we want you to stay, Burnley's this year. And we're just like, next minute, you're announcing him signing. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's a weird one, isn't it? And there was a couple of seasons where Dale Stevens looked like an absolute well beater as well. Like if he couldn't play for some reason, you missed him. He was like that metronome that would just put out. He would dictate all of our attacks. That stopped happening after a certain point. That's for sure.
That's what we've got with Ashley Barnes now as well. I mean, when you keep a player just for sentiment, it's sort of like that now. I think if he wants to sort of, let his career carry on for a couple more years, I think thank you for everything you've done. You'll always be a claret and all that stuff. But, as the guy from Arsenal Fan TV once said, it's time to go.
Certainly. And who knows how everything will play out for you guys, depending on how the rest of the season works out, right? Because you're in for potentially like big changes with both outcomes. So who knows? But this game, if you ask your standard Brighton fan, right, they're going to say we expect to win this game. We're at home and we are playing the side at the bottom of the league. I really don't think it's going to be as simple as that. You always play a hard game. I think it's going to be tough. You've got the bit between your teeth. I think as someone said in the chat there, 1-1's not a bad shout. I can't even. Yeah.
Another draw.
Another draw. But we're also like, doesn't this feel like it has the sort of potential where no one expects this to be a high-scoring game? Maybe it could be a high-scoring game because no one would expect it. Let's get us on match of the day first.
Oh, I would love that. As long as it goes in Burnley's favour, anyway. Oh, no, because if it goes in Burnley's favour, we'd still end up being pissing last.
You could, you win 4-3 and you'll still be last. Yeah.
They'll still show Man United raggy 1-0 win or something like that.
Yeah, with a penalty, yeah.
I mean, if you were in Graham Potter's shoes right now, I mean, you'd be probably 100 times richer than majority of people.
I'd be pretty happy, yeah.
Definitely. You're picking the side to go out against Burnley this weekend. Who'd be in your starting 11?
You've got your usual suspects. Obviously, you've got Dunk that can't play. I still think I would play Duffy for this game. Joel Veltman's not tall enough to play against you lot, and regardless of how Duffy's form is, I want Webster and Duffy pairing up. I'd play 4 at the back. I'd have Cucurella left back, Lamptey right back. I'd have Lallana in, Alexis McAllister. It sounds like Mwepu's going to be on the bench. And then I'd start your standard players. The biggest question mark for me is Trossard, who's another sort of really exciting player that we have. He was absolutely terrible against United. And he got hauled off at half time. He'd been out for a few games. I think he had COVID. He's going to be the one that has the potential to be a difference maker. So I'd obviously look out for him. Mopé's not been in the finest form. So I don't think we'll be really reinventing the wheel with the lineup. The only difference will be at that centre back change.
Not fair play. I mean, I don't think Burnley will change much either. I think it's been the same team for the last 7 or 8 seasons, so it's not going to change. You've got Pope in goal. I think Connor Roberts will keep his place at right back. You've got Ben Mee and James Tarkowski at the centre, which I'll be honest with you, now that the January window's out the way, Tarkowski looks like he can actually be asked to play football this season. It was almost like his head's been turned. He knows he's going to get a move. But, I mean, he's free to leave at the end of the season, on a free. So why not?
He now?
29.
Okay, so he's still got he's got another contract.
Definitely. I mean, he's probably doing more at United than Maguire if he did get that chance. However, I don't think he would.
I think me and you would.
Yeah, to be fair. I mean, he's already got a downfall. He's from Sheffield. But yeah, I think you've got Tarky and Ben Mee at centre. Does Charlie Taylor come back in? Potentially. I'm not sure. I know he's back from injury. It's whether he's going to be match fitness. I mean, at Burnley, we say there's this sort of, you're unfit, match fit, and then dash fit. So whether he's dash fit's a different question. I mean, Eric Peters had a really good game. He's played pretty well, kept Mo Salah quiet against Liverpool. So I'd probably
say that.
No, true. So I'd probably keep Eric Peters in there. However, when Charlie Taylor's in there, Cornet or McNeil, depending on who's playing on the left with Charlie Taylor, they seem to be a bit more relaxed because they know they don't have to sort of bail Eric Peters out the shit if he stands off a bit too much.
If you stand up against Lamptey, you're gonna have problems. He's gonna have to make a decision there because you'll probably have to double up on him regardless. The plus side is he typically tires himself out after about 65, 70 minutes. But anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's what I want to hear. Dash is watching it. Dash will be watching this going down. That's it. He's there with a little book writing all this down. I think wingers wise, we've got to stick with. I think bring McNeil back in. A lot of people saying drop him again because he got dropped against Liverpool, and it was needed. To be fair, a lot of people from the outside go, "Oh, McNeil's been one of your star players." We honestly thought the signing of Cornet would take the edge off McNeil, as though right, the limelight's not on me to perform week in, week out. However, we're actually seeing it more. How he's a bit too relaxed and sort of walks around the pitch like he don't give a shit. So fingers crossed, dropping him for a few games may be key, but in a game like this, could he be pivotal? So I'd put him in. Westwood and Brownhill will still sit in the centre for me. And you've got Weghorst up top, sort of with, as I say, Cornet, McNeil, sort of playing just off. Who else would you have in there?
You had Lennon out last. Does Aaron Lennon start?
Yeah. Lennon started against Liverpool, but I just think he's probably still blowing out of his arse now because of his age from that game.
You had Jay Rodriguez starting as well, didn't you?
Yeah, Jay Rod could start. You know what? I'd start Barnes. I think this is I'd start Barnes with Weghorst in a way.
If you start Barnes and Weghorst, and we've got Veltman playing centre back, that's not great for us.
I kind of contradicted myself on that. Ashley Barnes, the sentiment's there. It's time to go. I'll pick Ashley Barnes to start.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other thing is that if you go down that route, I tell you what Potter's going to do though. He's going to push our defensive line up to the halfway line.
Oh yeah,
he's not going to be scared of the pace that you have in the center of the pitch, and you're going to get pressed into your own goal. Dyche has got to have a threat there that isn't just Cornet, especially if Lennon's not a player. Like, you need to have someone pacey that's going to cut through something, because if not, we're going to end up just passing the ball around on the halfway line.
No, we've struggled cutting through spreadable butter, to be honest, this season. We have been completely different animal in terms of just the way that we've not gone about our business correctly. But I think times will change. And fingers crossed, it's just, as I've said to many a person, we're in an adaptive period. I'm thinking it's going to be quite a good game. I mean, your score prediction, let us know what you're thinking.
I think this is 2-1 Brighton. I think it's
that's not bad. Yeah, not a bad call. I mean, we need to start picking up points. The teams around us are starting to get too many points together now, getting runs together. Norwich, they're picking up the odd point here and there, which everyone were sticking an R by the name as soon as they basically changed the P for an R. That's it. Just relegate them already. Watford's worrying. They got obviously down there.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that Newcastle, Everton, and Norwich are starting to pull away with the odd win here and there. That's the worrying thing for me.
If I'm you guys, my eyes are on Brentford. Eyes are on Brentford.
I've said this to a lot of people. Their form at home, they only perform for 5 minutes, and that's only when it gets to 85th minute mark. So
you've also got 4 games on them. They played 25 games.
No, we've still to play Everton in one of those rearranged games, Villa, Leicester, and Spurs. So it's we were meant to play Everton, on Boxing Day. So we're meant to play them when they were under Agent Rafa, which would have been perfect time to play them.
Yeah. Now they've got 3-0 win off with Lampard
Yeah,
the other day, didn't
it's
they?
a tough game to call. Is this a really tough game to call? I probably agree with what Rich said earlier, 1-1, but I think we need goals in this game. So I'm going to make it entertaining and say, you know what, sod it, 3-3. I'm going all out.
That.
Six
Yeah, I
goal
don't like the
thriller.
result, but I like the idea behind it. Yeah. Okay.
And that's 6-goal thriller. That'd be interesting because at least then you can say both sides have had a go, a good go at it. They've not sat back and played out this 0-0 bore fest. So I mean, I can't believe I've even just said that.
This could be the most exciting Brighton Burnley game we've ever witnessed.
It could be. I hope so. Ozzy says we will and can win the next match. Super Burnley FC. Yeah, I hope so, Ozzy. I really do. It would mean a lot if we did because we need to start picking up them points. I mean, even with the games in hand that we've had, that we've still yet to play, we're still in that hunt points-wise. We're still there. We're still close. A win only sees us like 2 behind, getting out of the drop. So let's try and do something. Let's try and build some momentum. However, we need to turn these draws into wins. You can't just get a draw against United, a draw against Arsenal, narrowly lose to Liverpool from a corner, and then literally get an absolute pasting off Brighton. I really hope that's not going to happen, but I can see it.
Well, the good news you've got, right, regardless of how this game plays out, if you don't begrudge us a win, you play Spurs, who are in terrible form. They look like absolute crap. You play Palace, you get 3 points against Palace. Just do that for us. And then you play Leicester, who are in terrible form. And then you, as you say, after the Chelsea game, you've got the game against Brentford. So it's going to be an interesting. I think people that are counting you guys out at this point it's so easy to look at snapshots of the table at different times of the season. If you remember early on in the season, everyone making fun of Arsenal. It's always fun to make fun of Arsenal. And then suddenly they went on that tear, right? And they look like a good team again, a good team. And the bottom of the table, Newcastle were terrible. And everyone was going, Newcastle were down. Doesn't matter how much money they spend. And look what's happened. They win 3 games on the trot. And the player that is arguably been their best player that they signed is now out with a broken leg, but whatever. Point being is that these things can change massively, right? You got to hope.
We have that's what we were hoping. I mean, Kieran Trippier was an absolute legend at Burnley. He did really, really, really well.
Yeah.
Dasher said he doesn't do favourites, but he's always had a soft spot for Trippier. And Trippier said when he signed for Newcastle, he said the first person to text me was Sean Dash saying, I'm glad to see you back in the country. Hope it all goes well, but you've really disappointed me.
Well, hold on. Was it whose agent was it? Was the one
Chris Wood's agent?
It was because wasn't there this rumor that Trippier came in and then he said Chris Wood's got a buyout clause. Go and grab him. Yeah.
Apparently so. That I was going to say what TikTok do. All the rumors are true. Yeah. Too long on the toilet watching TikToks. Standard. I just think they bought the right players of Newcastle as well in that sense. However, I'm so glad that he's out. I'm so glad he's crocked. As much as I don't wish pain on a player, it's just that in terms of survival chances, I'm glad he's out. I mean, Chris Wood's not going to get the service at Newcastle because St. Maximin and Ryan Fraser like to cut in and have pot shots himself.
Yep.
So 25 million, thank you very much. 30 million on Vegas. A night out in Cheshire, I suppose, with the rest. And everyone's happy. I've got a little game. A little game. It's called This or That. And fingers crossed you'll enjoy it.
This or that.
I am available for voiceover work. Only joking. Was horrendous.
Seriously, Josh, we got to chat after this. Unbelievable.
So this or that is just a little game where I'm going to mention 2 things and you tell me which one you prefer. So straight in at number 1, home games or away games?
This season, you sort of feel like away games. The atmosphere at the Amex has been pretty shoddy from what, I say from a distance. But this year, I feel like away games, we haven't lost a lot away from home.
No, I'll take that. I mean, you can't beat an away day, can you? Like, the atmosphere is just completely different. You're singing for 90 minutes. There's beer everywhere.
Just the home games as well, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
The only disappointment to an away game is checking your bank balance the morning after. That's the only problem. Number 2, Netflix or YouTube?
My answer is YouTube now. Yeah, it's changed.
No, not bad, not bad. Work hard or play hard?
Come on, is that even a question? It's play hard. Come on,
it has to be. Has to be. Sky Sports or BT Sports?
Well, that's a tough one for me because I'm based over in the US, aren't I? Like Josh,
you're all right. You've got that NBC.
We've got NBC, so we get every game. So yeah, and NBC is my answer to that.
Yeah, nah, I should have took that one into account. Completely free. I hate the fact that you get it for free, and we have to like literally try and scour the what's the right word? Legal streams for.
Yeah, look, if there was only and I would not ever condone this, but I've heard that there are people out there that get VPNs and get NBC subscriptions for 10, 15 quid a month, and they get to watch all the games. But I would never ever do that, and I would never suggest anyone do it.
No, me neither. I promise, I really wouldn't.
Horrible thing.
Honestly, arthritis, it's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, disgusting. Terrible. Yeah, you wouldn't steal a car.
Next one, Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, I've gone off Facebook quite a bit. I think it's just gone down, just proper south.
Yeah.
This is a tough one. Well, potentially.
Okay.
Glenn Murray or Bobby Zamora?
Oh, it's Bobby Zamora for me because I've got a signed picture of him back at home.
Fair shout.
I know that you won't hear that, I don't think. I think I'd be one of the only Brighton fans that would say that. But a unique, special case there, yeah.
No, not wrong with that. Not wrong with that. Absolute. Seagulls legend. Cats or dogs?
I've got a dog. I don't have any cats. There's my answer.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. If you could replace any current Brighton player with a Burnley player, who would it be? So if both players had to swap clubs, which player would you go for?
Well, can I give you a crap player and I take your best player? Is that how this works?
If that's what you want to do, feel free.
Well, I tell you what, I'll be nice.
I thought we took your crappest player when Dale Stevens signed for us, to be honest.
Well, we've replaced him with another now crappest player. You can have Pascal Gross. He's coming to the end of his contract. He's been an amazing servant for the club. He can still do a job. And we'll take Cornet because I'd love someone that could actually play further up on the left-hand side with a bit of pace in him.
No, fair shout. This is the big question. This is the one that can ruin relationships. Rich says, I like this bit, Dan. If I wasn't too lazy, I'd borrow the idea for my stream. Feel free, Rich. Feel free. To be fair, I'm lazy. I forget to do this half of the time, mate. So this is the big question, though. This is the one that I don't know how it's going to pan out. I can't remember. I think most people have gone for the wrong option. Through personal choice, it's the wrong option.
Okay.
So the big question is, that's the wrong table to do a crap drum roll on. Does pineapple belong on a pizza?
I don't think it should even be within about 10
That was
feet.
a sigh of controversy, wasn't it?
No, you can't have pineapple on a pizza. No.
Yes, Adam, get in.
No.
Get in.
I won't allow it.
I totally agree. I don't understand why people like it. If you wanted that, get a fruit salad as a dessert. Treat yourself.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. No. You've gone from Brighton fan level to 90 minutes. That's it. I'm not talking to you to You know what? I'll talk to you. And if you win the game, I'll shake your hand. I'll buy you a pan. That's where you've gone to with that answer, mate. Don't you worry about it.
Well, I'll take you up on that one day. Yeah,
Definitely. See, Rich says good answer. It's no pan. Oh, just the word. It's up there with cucumber is pineapple. I can't stand either of them. Horrible.
Yeah, you wouldn't want a cucumber on a pizza either, would you? It wouldn't be that good.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Adam, you've been an absolute honour to have on the channel. So thank you very much for coming on and speaking all things Brighton. It's been an absolute blast. Just let everybody else know. There's always one. Let everybody know where they can follow your stuff. As you say, the guys are there. The guys are there. It's right there. But yeah, let everybody know what you've got coming up, what you're doing, and the stuff you've got cracking on YouTube.
Yeah, Together BHA is, again, Josh is popping up in the chat, and a big shout out to Josh. Josh started Together BHA on his own, doing podcasts solo for a long time, and invited myself and then Craig, our other co-host, on earlier at the start of this season, and it's been an awesome experience. So big credit to him. And thank you for having me on here. This has been really fun. You've got a really good thing going here. My Twitter account is Edwards Adam. So my last name, then my first name. Thanks for the follow. Yeah, and that's where you can find me moaning about Jakob Moden missing chances most Saturdays. Yeah, what have we got planned? We are hopefully going to be continuing to talk about Brighton's rampage into the top half of the table, and hopefully we don't fall back into the bottom half. But I'm just happy, and I know this is a little bit, I don't mean to sound disrespectful with your position, it's just nice as a Brighton fan to not be talking about relegation for one season. That's all I'm focused on at the moment, not looking at that.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, I'll ask you one final question. Where do you think you finish this season, and what's the lowest you'd be happy with?
Lowest that we'd be happy with. Well, at this point, our expectations have been shifted. You know how this works with everything, because now you look at where you're at and you think, oh, maybe what if we did this? But I'm definitely I can be a bit of a pessimist, and I look at some of the sides below us that they can be very dangerous. And, you know, you look at your Leicesters, your Villas. Villa are walking around with Philip Coutinho in their team. Like, that's just, we're playing a bit of a different game, just to a certain extent, when it comes to bank accounts. I'd be happy if we finished top 12. Like, I think that's reasonable with where we're at. That shows progress from the last season. Players stick around, and it means we can move on to next year with a different, you know, then we crack on. We sign a different caliber of player. That's my hope. Anything more than that's a bonus.
No, happy days. To be fair, I said that at the beginning of the season. I think after the season we had last season, I thought with no fans being in stadium, a club like Burnley having the fans back this year would have been massive. You know, being that 12th man, the fact that we were so close to the drop last year should have been enough to spur us on. I said between 13th and 15th, I'd be very, very happy with. I mean, right now I'll be happy with 17th by the scrape of our teeth on goal difference. So,
yeah, I mean, but Norwich has conceded 24 more goals than you have.
This is the worrying thing, though. Norwich had 0 points. They were like England in the flaming Eurovision. There was nil point, nothing, zilch. Welcome to Turf Moor. Go and get your first point of the season.
It's
Watford,
silly, isn't it?
no clean sheet all season. Welcome to Turf Moor. In fact, don't even wipe your feet on the way out. Just take it under your arm, roll it up, and piss off back on the coach. Because that's what it's been like this season. It's been horrendous. It's been mistake after mistake after mistake. It's like being 15 all over again, picking the wrong girlfriend. Honestly, it's wrong. It's just gone down the shit pan.
No matter how it plays out, like I said earlier, I truly think you guys still have a good chance of staying up with a couple of promising results. You can really crack on, because as we've said, there's some managers that are just going to roll over, and there's just going to be an inevitability to it. Dyche isn't one of those, and you've seen that. How many times have you seen that where you guys have somehow survived every year? Like, it's what a run that's been. It'd be a shame to stop it.
Yeah,
You've got games.
Yeah, it's just whether we can catalyze on those games and get some results out of them.
Yeah.
The points against the big sides in recent games, they sort of 3 points they sort of feel like 3 points in a way because the free hit games when you're a team down at that at that lower end. But we need to turn them results, turn the teams around us, beat them, and hopefully start climbing. But no, Adam, thank you very much again. Everybody, please do go and check out Adam's Twitter. As I said, the link is in the description below. Also, together BHA, yourself, Josh, and I'm guessing Craig as well, as Josh mentioned in the chat, all doing absolute cracking content and cracking work over there. I will let Adam go. I can see the look on his face like I can't wait to message Josh. We need to do some shit regarding these regarding these graphics.
We're gonna have a big graphics upgrade in the next couple of weeks, inspired by this. But look, thank you for having me on. And outside of this weekend, I've got my fingers crossed for you guys that you can turn it around this year. Let's have a good game this weekend.
I bloody hope so. Let's hope for a good one. At the end of the day, as they do on the football pitch, their enemies on it, but as soon as the 90-minute whistle goes, friendships are back. That's it. So, good luck for the rest of the season. As I say, I'm sure, no doubt, you'll get in that top 12. I'm sure you will. And yeah, thanks again for coming on. Everybody, thanks again for your comments as well. Thank you to Rich, Nippon, Josh as well, who's been tapping away, and especially for calling Adam an ungrateful git.
Cheers, mate.
I wanted to remind you of that one, just so you can fire that one back at him as well.
I'll store it in my memory banks, so don't worry about that. But yeah, keep up the good work, mate. All the best to you, and I'll catch you later.
No problem. Take care, guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.